Welcome to Multiple Nerdgasm with your hosts, Matt, Luke, and Dan. Multiple Nerdgasm, your guide to all things nerdy.
That was fast. I came in a little hot on that one, and I apologise. I don't know.
All right.
I'm a bit hyped today.
It worked. We
I don't
got
know
there.
what it is.
We kept pace.
Excited. The football's back. That's what it is.
Football is back. I knew that because you invited us to your thingy.
Yes.
Whatever that.
And tipping comp.
I guessed. I randomly
signed up
guessed.
to something, but I couldn't figure out how to actually tip. So
Well, that's why
I've
you're
still
losing
gotta-
at the moment.
Oh,
Okay,
am I winning?
so I'm a week behind, am I?
Well, you still got time. The football only just started today.
Am I winning?
Okay,
I can let you know right now on the leaderboard. I think you might be beating me
I mean that.
because I'm not
Makes sense.
doing well.
hold on. How can you be or be not doing well if there hasn't been a game yet?
Oh no, Matt, you're losing. You haven't picked one game. No, there's been 3 games already.
What do you mean I haven't picked one game? I picked
There's
the
been,
other
it
day.
started
Yeah, no,
today,
I
and
mean,
there's been
you haven't
3
picked a
games
winner.
already. This is
Oh.
a fast sport.
Yeah, there's been 3 games. So it started on Thursday night, 2 on Friday, there's 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and then 1 on Monday, I think.
Well, this doesn't look good, Luke, because if I'm already 3 games behind, chances are I'm probably not going to even start at this point.
No, you might as well start because I've picked one winner.
Okay.
Did you guys
I'll try to
join
figure
the F1 fantasy thing I sent you? Because you've
Mate, I
got
haven't
until
even joined Luke's thing yet.
you've got till quali tomorrow to do that, and then you're screwed because you're not going to get your picks in for Bahrain.
I am pretty excited, needless to say, about the start of F1 season. I was also excited about the start of season 5 of Drive to Survive until I realized that I can't watch a new season and last year's reality show and not get confused. So I'm going to have to just shelve that for now.
Oh, you haven't watched Drive to Survive?
I started watching the first episode and was like,
got
wait, this is
confused.
last year's. And then I was like, of course it's last year's.
Yeah,
Dan.
that's right. They haven't. This year's hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's-
I want to join, but I don't know what it's called.
Matt, did you know Jenny Garr had a stroke and can no longer speak?
Yeah, I did know that. Yeah, Buxton talked about it today during practice.
Awful.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
She's in rehab, speech rehab, learning to speak again.
yeah. They said they're hoping she'll be back this year, but I don't know.
But
I mean,
that's also one of
that's
those-
optimistic, but yeah,
That's one of those scary things because it's just something that just happens. Like it's
Mate,
not
she's 2 years older than us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Like it scares me now when you see all these people that just had a brain aneurysm and because there's no signs or
Yeah.
anything. It's just that.
Getting that age.
Mhm.
Well, we've had a couple of free practices this week.
Did you see the results of P2? Interesting
Yes,
stuff.
I did. Yeah.
What happened?
So, well, Red Bull dominated last year, and everyone was talking about
Everyone
how it
knows
looked.
that.
Everyone says, "Oh, it looked like they were going to do the same this year,"
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, in P2, fucking Fernando Alonso in the Aston Martin, fastest on track, like ahead of everybody. And it's like, because he said last year when he left Alpine, he said, "Oh, I think I got a better chance of winning a championship with Aston Martin," and everyone was like, "Yeah, right." Like, did he know something? Like, what is this about? Or is this just a coincidence?
Like, what could he have known, though, Matt? I mean,
no.
What does this
maybe he
look
drove
like
the car or something, or he went in
Sure.
there and he saw what they had, and he was like, "Oh, this is hot. This is good shit." Like, I don't know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but yeah, this is a surprise.
Okay. I will still just stick to playing the Formula One games because
I played a bit of Formula One on the Sega Mega Drive during the week.
It's a little bit different playing on the Xbox.
I don't know. It was pretty fun, man. It's pretty fun. Just before we came in here, we were just chatting about the daily drives of these F1 drivers. And
ridiculous.
we were just remarking that up until he worked for Ferrari, which is when he was still a professional driver for several years in the
A couple of
Formula
years ago,
One.
he joined Ferrari. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't start racing in a Ferrari. You
Carlos
racing
Sainz
for a long time before.
still
that.
drove the Volkswagen Golf that his dad bought him for his 18th birthday. Up until Ferrari replaced it with a free Ferrari that they gave him and said, please stop driving this.
and he drove for McLaren at one point.
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
I don't know if McLaren were like, no, you're not getting a car.
getting one, mate.
But they have
Get back
given
in your
other drivers
Volkswagen.
cars, so I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I've definitely seen Daniel Ricciardo driving around in a McLaren.
Yeah.
So
Because it wouldn't have been he didn't want to buy a new car because he's got the money. I think it's the fact
I think he's just an awesome dude. And him and his dad are like best friends. And I think he just didn't want to look at his dad in the eye and saying, I'm trading in your car for a better car.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's also the fact that you're a Formula One driver. So when you drive fast. So if you get a high performance car, you're going to be driving fast on the road. But if you've got this normal car, you don't have that urge to speed as much.
Didn't they, in one of those casual interviews this week, I think someone asked Leclerc if he's ever been pulled over by the cops. And he said, yeah, once. And then they said, oh, what happened? And they said, oh, he asked for my autograph and then let me go.
Yeah.
All right.
Amazing. Yeah.
That would really depend on which country you're getting pulled over.
I like Leclerc, but I hope that Carlos does better than him this year because Leclerc's got his eye on the championship. And I'd love for Carlos to have it instead.
Yeah. Well, he got his first win last year. Good shit.
Mm-hmm.
There is some news in the Drive to Survive world this week that made me laugh because, Gunther Steiner from Haas, he's kind of the star of Drive to Survive in a way. It used to be Daniel Ricciardo at first, but now it's Steiner. I don't know if you know who that is, Luke, but he's just a very comical guy.
Okay. So he likes to have fun.
He speaks multiple languages.
Oh, yeah.
So he's he's buddies with a lot of the other team leads.
Yeah, apparently he's Italian. I thought he was German.
Oh,
based on
is
his
he?
Yeah, I don't know. He's got a German name, but he clearly speaks fluent Italian.
I mean, my wife has a Chinese name and she's Australian, so I guess.
Yeah, I just don't know.
You don't have to have the.
But you saw the first episode. He's having wine with Binotto, and they're just talking in Italian. It's like, oh, he speaks it.
Don't get used to him if that's your first introduction to the Ferrari team. Either.
No, but he lives in America now, Steiner. I mean, but anyway, in this season of Drive to Survive, he got questioned just over the last couple of days because he made some comments during, in footage on the show. He was making some snide remarks about Mick Schumacher.
Right.
Because
Mick or Michael?
Mick. Michael Schumacher's the son,
who's not named
crashed
after Michael.
a lot of cars last year.
He's not named after his father?
What?
He's not? Who's he named after?
It's a coincidence?
He's named after Mick Dundee.
He's named after another... He's named after someone else, but he's not named after his father. I forget who he's actually named after.
Fuck off. That's
a cop-out. It's like, why does someone named him Matthew? No, he's not named after me.
That's like me having a son and going, no, his name's Daniel after the Karate Kid.
Yeah, Daniel Miyagi Miller.
Wait, Karate Kid was not Miyagi's son, right, Matt? You know that, right?
Wait, what? It's been a while since I watched it, but I'm pretty sure.
He was named after Mick Doohan.
Oh. Yeah, right. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
500cc motorcycle world champion.
Well, he is Michael Schumacher, the very famous F1 driver's son. And so there was a lot of, pressure on him, I guess. And he didn't. I mean, he didn't do too great last year. He crashed a bunch of times.
Yeah, and he still drives in the Formula One.
Oh, he's now a reserve driver for Mercedes, but he, and crashing one of those cars, especially one of those crashes, it literally just ripped the car in two. Which, first of all, thank God he survived, but second of all, that's a couple of $1 million down the toilet right there. So
or more than a couple. Yeah.
So I think you got to understand that's a bit stressful for Steiner when that happens. But anyway, there's particularly some footage of, I think they were at Baku last year, and Schumacher's driving around. I think he was in 20th, and he goes on the radio. He goes, "How are my brakes? They're not overheating, are they?" And then there's footage of Steiner, and he goes, "He's asking about his brakes. The fuck does he care about his brakes? He's driving so slow, he's not using them." And so this week they've been saying, "You think that must have been unfair?" And he said he hasn't watched it. He goes, "I don't remember what I said, but no, I don't regret anything."
I think that's
a bit of light
behind that.
I think you've got to bear in mind they say a lot of stuff. Like the people give the drivers shit when they yell stuff too over the radio, but it's like, guys, they're driving like 300 miles an hour.
Who was it?
2 hours.
In one of the,
they're a little stressed.
In one of the practice runs this week, that was like said to over the wireless, he's like, "How about you just shut up and let me drive?"
Yes, I mean that happens a lot, but I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they don't have time to sit there and have a conversation.
I think Lance Stroll said that at one point this week. Oh, he's got his hands are all messed up. I hate Lance.
So I was thinking about it, right? Because I've decided that my daughter is going to be Australia's first female Formula One driver.
Oh, cool.
Right?
That'll be good for her.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for all of us.
Yeah.
How do you become a professional driver when these guys start driving so early that they couldn't possibly have waited until
Go-karts.
the legal driving age? Yeah, it's go-karts, right?
It's like
That's all I can think of.
That's they got.
They all. Most of those drivers grew up go-karting together. In fact,
right? Yeah.
Like you learn. I didn't know this, but in this season of Drive to Survive, they show footage of Verstappen and Mick Schumacher like on family vacations together because Verstappen's dad and Michael Schumacher raced in F1 together, and so like you go, of course, it's just all kind of it's a little what's the word? It's all a big family, you know.
Yeah,
but some of them even like start like racing real cars before they've actually even got their license.
Yeah,
surely, yeah. Are there different laws for track that there are for street?
Well, they've got to get they got to get they have to get a license, but it's not a normal license. It's not a super license thing. Because remember that Max Verstappen's was like €1 million this year because he's won too many times, so they just jacked the price up on him. It's like, well, he can afford it, I guess.
Oh, he can afford it.
Seems weird to me. You're too good, so we charge you more.
You're going to need a lot of money. I think that's how you get into the F1. Have a lot of money.
Oh, it's definitely a posh
extreme
sport.
Skill. Yeah. It's like extreme skill. Like I don't think Hamilton had money, although I'm not sure about that. But he's just very, very good at it. Or like Lance Stroll, your daddy buys
your
the
dad
team.
owns the team.
It's not even that. You also have to have the body for it as well because you need to be full of muscle. But they're only 60 kilos.
Speaking of Lance Stroll,
yeah, they're very lean. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like I weigh as much as two of them.
Which two?
I don't know any names.
Even
though we've been talking about
they're all either tiny or
minutes.
very skinny. Like I think Yuki's like a little.
Oh yeah, but he's
a little tiny man. Yeah.
Well, they don't have to be, but just due to weight limits.
There's an American racing this year, man.
That's right. There is for Williams, Logan Sargent. Yep, he's probably going to come last quite a bit because he's in a Williams, but still exciting anyway.
Oh, they're a family team. Well, actually, no, they're not anymore. They sold it, didn't they? The Williams family don't own Williams anymore.
Do we have an Australian racing still?
Yes, Oscar Piastri.
Okay.
Ricardo's reserve for Red Bull.
Reserve.
Yeah. Bet that must have stung going back to Red Bull. He used to drive for Red Bull, and then he quit very publicly and dramatically.
Very loudly.
And then he quit McLaren very publicly. Quit Renault publicly and loudly when it was Alpine. And then now can't find a team. I wonder why. Maybe you should stop loudly and publicly humiliating the teams.
Although he's being paid by McLaren for this season, right? Because his contract was for another season with McLaren.
Because they kicked him out to get
so
Piastri.
he's being paid. Yeah, so he's being paid by McLaren to not drive, and then he's being paid by Red Bull to not drive unless they need him to.
Well, not only that,
I want that job.
When they in Drive to Survive, they're talking about how they can't have Mick Schumacher back, and then so Steiner and I can't think of his name. What's the Dutch guy, the Dutch driver for Haas, Kevin Magnussen. They're talking, and he goes, "Oh, who can we get? Can we get like Ricardo?" And Steiner's like, "You kidding? We can't afford Ricardo. He wants 20 million minimum." It's like just to show up. It's
I
like
fucking hate that guy.
Yeah. So he's being well paid by Red Bull, I assume, to sit there in the garage.
No. But he's. I mean, they all. You've got to be quite egotistical to. You've got to think you can win to even participate.
Oh, totally.
But that guy's ego is out of fucking control.
Yeah. Anyway, we should talk about something that's not Formula
One. I'm not going to smile,
I apologize,
Luke.
Luke.
You've got to pay extra for a smile.
Oh, that's a joke. That was a joke.
I know, but it's not a joke, though, is it? It's not a joke, is it? Is it, Matt?
It's a bit of a joke. Yeah. He got knocked down a peg, I think, this year because he got fired and then didn't.
They all need to get knocked down
else.
a peg. Some do, and some get knighted.
Speaking of Lewis Hamilton, yeah, he's been given an exemption for his nose ring again.
Again, yeah.
Well, why don't they? If they're giving exemptions, why not just stop it being a rule?
I love that it's like jewelry and underwear is the regulation too. It makes me laugh. They're not allowed to wear. They got to wear flame retardant underwear, which I assume they have to have a rule because it's probably very uncomfortable. Yes. But yes, I see what you mean. Yeah, but you're gonna have to sit in it for 2 hours, sweating and Like
I'm sure there's been enough R&D on that they've made some comfortable
they should
flame
said,
retardant underwear.
You know what? Grosjean survived because of his underwear, right? if he hadn't been wearing that underwear, his dick would have been gone. Burned to a crisp.
Well, I don't understand with the nose ring. So he gets. Why don't they just say you're allowed to wear nose rings?
Because it could get.
Because everyone else isn't.
But why is he allowed?
Because no one's going to tell Lewis Hamilton he's not allowed to do something.
He has a medical exemption because last time he took it out, it got infected, and his doctor
probably
said,
fresh.
Yeah, well, no, he's had it for forever. But his doctor gave him a note saying he can't take it out. So, what are they going to do?
A doctor to say
that's
anything.
not why. That's not why.
It's because he's a 7-time world champion, and they're not going to tell him
why.
what they'll try and tell him what to do, but they will have to back off a bit. Anyway,
F1 segment over.
Welcome to Formula One Gasm. Sorry, listeners.
Well, we got plenty of follow up this week. Last week we chatted about how British publisher of the Roald Dahl books is removing anything un-PC. They're winding that back a little. They're still going to do your woke versions, but they're now saying that they'll still keep classic Roald Dahl available.
Which is all woke edition on the new ones?
All the hype has made Roald Dahl rocket to the top of the bestseller list in Australia, at least, again.
I saw photos. Bookshops have set up stands that say read them before they get banned. And they're just like...
Well, but they're not banning them. They're just going, we're not printing these ones anymore.
And only one publishers.
That's not what the headlines say, Luke. And so
but I agree with the sentiment because I'm angry about the censorship. When my daughter's old enough to read Roald Dahl, I'll be reading her the oldest, most... I'm going to try to find... Wonka. Yeah, I'm going to try to find the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory where there's still African slaves. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, can I just on that topic, but just slightly off topic, I've decided to read some classics recently, right? I'm reading Robinson Crusoe. Oh, yeah. Right? So, great book. Not if you like stories, because it's not actually a story. There's no plot to it. But guys on the island for 25 years, 24 years into which he finally sees some other people, some natives from another island, plucks one, and makes him his slave, because that's what you do when you meet a black person in the 17th century or whenever this was made. But he goes out of his way, at least the author does, to say that this guy just wanted to be a slave. Like as soon as he met a white person, he was just like, mate, how can I serve you?
Finally, we've found each other.
I know.
We can fulfill the
I've only met other black people until now.
That we all have.
Who am I going to serve? Yeah.
But look, I think it's good that they're rolling it back. And I think all they really need to do is do what they did with some Sesame Street stuff and the old cartoons go, this is from another time. Like, this is a period.
It's Roald Dahl. It's not that bad.
No, I know.
No.
Well, it could be far worse.
Well,
just
some
this
of the
week,
stuff, yes. But
just this week, Ian Fleming's estate has come out and said, well, actually, we like that idea. And the way they've spun it made me laugh because they're going to go back and remove some questionable stuff from the James Bond books.
So he's not going to be a rapist anymore?
I don't know about that. One of the thing they mentioned though, and the thing that made me laugh is that before Ian Fleming died in 1964, apparently he approved changes to Live and Let Die to remove a word, the N-word, and to replace it with the words, black person or black man. And but the way they frame it is that like we want to in his honor we want to continue the work Ian Fleming did in changing these books. Sorry, he wrote them in the first place. He wrote the N-word in there. He put that there. He typed
it out letter by letter.
And then someone said to him, can we remove that? It's offensive. And he went, do whatever you want, I'm old.
But then it's taken
I've
him
already been paid for this.
But then it's taken him 60 years to go, we better respect that wish.
Yeah. Exactly. Not only that, but I'll just point out, they're only removing racism, and they're only removing racism to blacks. So all of the slurs about Asians in You Only Live Twice, still in there, right?
That's the one where he dresses up as a Japanese man
in yellowface,
and he fools them. Yeah, that's right.
Fooled, mate. Fooled.
Hello, my name's James Bond. I'm from Harajuku.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Right. Yeah. Oh, nice to meet you too, Japanese person.
Yeah.
So they're leaving all that in. They're removing the racial slurs against blacks, and even there's a line in Live and Let Die where he said, "I would have thought the blacks are quite law-abiding." Brackets, unless they've been drinking. They've just taken that part of the sentence out, so they're winding that back.
But again,
they've
wrote it in the first place.
Yes,
right?
He certainly did.
Like, good. Yeah. I'm glad he removed it, but he still wrote it.
But they're keeping in
people do learn and grow.
All of the rape stuff is still in there, including the phrase "the sweet scent of rape." They're keeping that specific sentence in.
What does that mean?
Well, I don't
want to know what. But anyway, it just made me laugh the way they spun it. Oh, we're going to continue his good work again. He wrote them.
Yeah. They haven't removed when James Bond refers to homosexuality as a quote stubborn disability.
Stubborn disability.
Small steps, Dan. Small steps.
Yeah. We've got to catch up to the 1970s before we can catch up to the 1990s.
All right. Well, so look for James Bond books on sale.
I follow a lot of James Bond commentators on YouTube. Actually,
do you?
Yeah, I do, and they are livid that these are being changed. And look, I think removing the N-word from James Bond is perfectly fine because the books are still the same without them.
Right.
And it's the argument, though, from all of the commentators that I've watched is that who don't want any changes to it is not even that they're signs of the times, but specifically that James Bond was always a flawed character, and that part of his appeal was that he wasn't.
Well, not only that, I guess you could argue that it was written back then. That's how people talked back then, and that's how that character talked back then. And so changing it is a little anachronistic in a way. Because he wouldn't have said it that way. He would have said the racist thing because everybody did. But then, I don't know, do you really need it? It doesn't need to be there, but I'm just saying that's an argument you could make. That's
Will our society be any worse if James Bond didn't use the N-word?
Right. Hadn't used it at the time even. Would anyone have noticed?
Yeah, just at the time when, I'm not familiar with that word. I like to
I don't like to call
use another phrase.
I still just
I'm British, so why not use the American term for it?
I still can't get over the fact it took them 60 years, so I really think that they
needed a nice little cash in, and they went, Roald Dahl, let's ride that. Those coattails. Yeah.
But did they not see how that worked, though?
What?
Everyone's very, very angry about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is because they're going to re-release the book, and there's going to be sort of the censored one, and there's the sort of like the old one, so they're still going to make money again.
James Bond, less racist edition.
Oh man,
just less racist. He's still a bit racist.
When I was a kid, the first lot of James Bonds I read were first editions because my grandmother's sister had a whole bunch of first edition hardcover James Bonds in her home library. And I remember on one, it must have been Casino Royale, it actually said on the back, "Let me introduce you to a new hero. His name is James Bond. You won't know the name yet, but you will." I wish I still had those.
And then it said he hates foreigners.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why they hired him at MI5.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was called back then.
That was part of the job, really, back then. No, I think it would probably be MI5 because it was after the war. 60s? I think they changed it after the war. I think it was it OSS
MI6 now, right? MI6 these days, right?
Military intelligence.
Oh, that's the one they talk about.
Oh, God. Luke's been watching YouTube again.
Yep.
Can we talk about nurses in New South Wales?
We certainly can talk about
nurses in New South Wales are some of the unsung heroes of our society.
Of OnlyFans.
And God, I wish I could see their tits.
So the what is the boss of the nurses sent out by
Johnny McNurse,
the Nursing and Midwifery Council of New South Wales sent an email out to the state's nurses and midwives. Sorry, let me try that again. The Nursing and Midwifery Council of New South Wales.
Midwifery.
Is that what midwifery? Mm-hmm. I've embarrassed myself.
No. It's an obscure word barely anyone knows.
They've sent an email out to all the nurses and midwives in New South Wales, and they've said, guys, stop showing your tits on OnlyFans. it's going to cause problems because I guess something must have happened.
People have been recognizing them?
They said it's distracting for patients, which leads me to believe something must have happened. Otherwise, how would anyone know that?
Okay, so back up. Is this just saying lots of people have an OnlyFans, but we're only concerned with nurses because that's who we're governing?
They're just saying that,
or is it saying that there is a disproportionate amount of nurses on OnlyFans?
No, I think they're just saying, look, because they're not telling everyone, they're telling people who are nurses because they're in the nursing industry, don't do it. They're saying,
it says
so
that,
flight
it's not a good
attendants
idea
can continue doing it to their heart's content.
You'll probably find that
they got no power over them.
They've got no power over them. But you'll probably find airlines are probably having these conversations with flight attendants.
Yeah.
Don't do this. Because it's the same, it's just a...
Yeah.
While
you might be trapped on a plane with somebody who has seen you naked and wants to see you naked some more.
Yeah.
Why, for me, I don't think there's a problem. I think it's harmless, but it's the same with any job. If you want to get a second job, you need to go with your employee. It's
one of those things where obviously
that because of conflict.
There's nothing wrong with it, except some people are not normal. And unfortunately, you might encounter somebody who has subscribed to your OnlyFans who's not, they're not going to behave appropriately.
It'd be a shame if that was the reason, though, wouldn't it?
I can't think of any other reason. Oh, I'm sorry. Just one other thing that they did. I think part of this may be that, nurse is a kink. And I think part of it is also don't use your fucking uniform or anything like that.
Yeah, you're probably
that would be
right.
a big no-no, I would say.
As opposed to most people who probably do it anonymously
especially not one with a fucking hospital logo on it or something.
Yeah. Or it's definitely not the New South Wales state government logo.
No, that would be not good.
Sort of saying like they're not doing it at work, they're not doing it in uniform. It's completely separate. No. But they're going it's still a conflict with your work. And there's been stories about teachers being fired and things like that. And it's still having that second job.
I think that's different, but then again, I assume it's the same with you, Luke. But I'm not allowed to. No, because if you're allowed to have children,
a second job,
I'm not allowed a second job
if you negotiate and talk with them.
Sure,
and they agree to it. And this is the same thing. This is essentially, even though it's a very different platform and format, it's still essentially a second job.
I'm not allowed to have a second job that would conflict with my other job. But if I was posting dick pics, I don't think my boss would be. I don't think he could make a good argument that I should only be posting dick pics at work.
So many people at our company would subscribe to it that
we own those dick pics, Maddie.
I think there's a bit of a difference because you sort of not working with the public as such, but when you've got that social interaction, and you do have that face to face.
Also, America's different too because we have that at-will thing. I could be fired at any minute.
Even though,
but also in America, try and fucking stop me showing my tits online.
But this is where it comes down to. Even though you're not doing it at work, you're very different to work. If people see you, they will instantly go, you're a nurse, you work here, and it's a bad reflection there, and that's what they're worried about.
But I think you're right. I think it's probably more likely to be people going, I'm a nurse, a real-life nurse.
Yeah.
And here's me stripping out of my nurse's scrubs.
Yeah.
What do I wear under these baggy pants all day?
Because I think there was some drama with the COVID stuff too, because there were nurses posting stuff on TikTok in their uniforms and that, and like as in anti-vax kind of stuff, and that caused the whole kerfuffle too. Because it's like,
I don't know many nurses who were anti-vax though. I'll say that.
Over here there were a lot.
Yeah, I saw there were a few that I saw, but normally they were not full nurses. They were sort of like the helping side type of thing.
I mean, I don't want to sound condescending. I think it's that like when you know a little bit. You think you know more? What's that? What's that thing?
There's a term.
Dunning-Kruger.
Dunning-Kruger. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it might have been.
The less you know about something, the less you know how little you know.
Yes. Yeah. I've seen people accuse Red Letter Media of that recently.
It's also
in those Star Wars videos.
It's also
those guys are very well educated on that topic. You might disagree with them, but
I'm not saying they have it.
It's also referred to as top left because if you look at it on a graph. To go like knowledge and how much you think you know. So,
I prefer top less.
So you go a little bit of knowledge, you go straight up to here to top left, you go, I'm an expert, and then as you learn more, you realise, no, I'm not. And
Yeah. Well, it's like consistently in surveys of asking people how good a driver they are. Bad drivers always think they're good drivers, and good drivers always go, I could probably be better, I could probably learn to be safer, and
Well, that's the more you know, the more you hedge your bets in a way.
And that's why I think when I say like a lot of times with those people who were doing it, they weren't like full registered nurses. They were the coming to assist and help and getting that bit of an understanding, and then they think they're an expert. Because I wouldn't know a registered nurse that would be.
But do their tits look different to the... Oh, no, we're talking about the anti-vaxxers now. Yeah, sorry, I thought we were still talking about OnlyFans.
No, they still have the same kind of... Well, I assume mostly the same tits. Just not vaccinated tits.
Look, I honestly think it's a shame. Do
unvaccinated tits look different to vaccinated tits?
If you listen to anti-vaxxers, probably yes.
Yeah.
Second you get that vax, tits are gone.
Yeah.
Also,
anyway, someone said that the actions of the nursing council are likely to be legal, so there's nothing wrong with them discouraging this. Which
it's a shame, I think, but I understand it.
I'll bet you do.
Yeah. No, I agree. I again, it does say here that where did it say?
Look, no, come on. I don't think I've ever had a job where the management would be okay with the employees showing their tits on the internet. Yeah. So that's just the reality of workplace.
Yeah, someone said, as a nurse, I personally found it very moralizing and slut-shaming. But then someone further down does say that they're genuinely concerned about a situation where a patient recognizes a nurse and it causes problems. And I'm like, is it that common? Maybe it is these days. And I think has something happened? Because why would you even think that might happen?
During the pandemic, a lot of people went to OnlyFans to supplement their income. And I think it became a very big thing. And then as we've slowly returned to normal, people have still got that because it's been a nice sort of income.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of time during that time, there was a lot of just turning a blind eye to it from an employer sense because it's, well, you're doing this to sort of support yourself and family while you're there. We don't really want to knock that out.
Blind eye. Or subscribing and just not saying anything.
I'd rather turn my Japs eye.
All right, James Bond.
Ian Fleming would be fine with that. Speaking of anti-vaxxers, and this is probably the third week in a row I've mentioned decoding the gurus, but did you hear that one where they broke down Bill Maher talking to Richard Dawkins?
I knew you were going to say that immediately.
Funny. Because Richard Dawkins is not an anti-vaxxer, and he just will not get on board.
Dawkins is stone cold sober, and Bill Maher is drunk and stoned.
And he's like, have some weed, mate. He's like, no. He's like, at least have a drink. He's like,
don't do that.
No. Yeah, and he's like, well, you don't drink either. He's like, no, I do, but I just will not drink during an interview.
He goes, I do, but I only drink with food.
With meals. Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't know who you were interviewing.
But like, he's like, but Bill Maher, and actually, I've seen a fair bit of Bill Maher stuff that I have liked over the years, but I didn't realize he was a raving anti-vaxxer.
I didn't either.
You do lose a little bit of respect for him when especially since his evidence for anti-vaxxers that he didn't feel well after he got his first one and then decided not to get any more.
Which is what they tell you is...
Yeah. And what a vaccination is? Like, it's giving you a tiny amount of the disease so that your body makes its own immunity to it.
Well, these ones aren't. I think that's why he's getting nervous about it, is because these are different. So the mRNA stuff is...
the thing I always look at is a lot of people said this, like, when people get it, like, you're all going to die, everyone's going to get sick. Well, we haven't really had a lot of people die. Like, we'd
know by now.
Not only that, but the alternative is definitely dying of COVID.
Well, the problem is that there's always a counter argument to that because someone got it and didn't die. Like, and that's true.
Trump.
Neither way is
Trump
a guarantee.
Didn't even get a sneeze, mate.
But yeah,
so he says.
He did have, like, 12 doctors and a private room and just looking after him and no one else.
But we said we weren't going to talk about American politics, and here we are talking about Trump.
Let's talk about video games instead.
Yeah, like, you know what we talked about last week? Last week we just talked about video games for an hour. It was excellent.
I want to know about video games. I want to know if your VR headset is working yet.
I do have a PSVR 2 update for you. The update is this. No, it doesn't work yet.
Oh, God.
I keep trying. The controllers don't work yet. There's people posting on forums and Reddit saying, try this. You know, you got to freaking spin in a circle and quack like a duck and then, juggle the controllers while you turn. I don't think so. But, I mean, it's definitely a software issue because they work fine in some circumstances and just not in other. I tried so it don't work at all in Resident Evil, just not at all. Don't work properly in Star Wars. And the weirdest thing too is, and this is the other reason I know it's software, Right, so I think I told you guys last week, the left controller works fine. I can do things with my left hand in VR. In the Star Wars game, the right hand controller doesn't do what it's supposed to. I can't pick things up, and you're supposed to be able to climb and teleport. I'm actually stuck in the game now. I can't progress because I have to do a thing that the control for doesn't work anymore. But if I hold my hand up and I push the little trigger thing, which is for picking up, the finger moves in VR. So it's like, it's doing something.
Just teasing you.
Yeah. It's like if I was trying to pick something up and my hand just went like this. Like a little twitch.
Now, this is a new product, and if you'd gotten the first incarnation of this, there were no bugs,
completely
right? It's only
different.
because...
Completely different, yeah.
And not in any way backwards compatible. So it's
not at all.
You have to commit to either getting version 1 and being able to play anything that came out hitherto,
but not new games. Yeah,
but nothing new, or jumping on this.
Yeah, I'd considered getting the old one, but then I saw this one when I ordered the PlayStation. I was like, oh, fuck it. Oh yeah, and I tried I got the Forbidden Dawn game, whatever it is.
Whatever you use arrows to shoot robots.
Yeah, the controls don't work at all in that either. So,
is there anything it does work completely fine in that you've come across, or have you had troubles with everything?
Menus and everything work fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Like as in literally the same buttons that don't work in the game work just fine for navigating menus and stuff like that. So it's
right.
It's definitely some kind of, like I said, some software thing. And the headset works fine. I mean, it's beautiful. Like, you forget. It's hard to describe, to be honest. You feel like you're there. It's amazing. And I really wish it would just fucking work so I could play it.
Yeah.
I remember I had my Rift. It does look amazing, like that old version of it, and it was great. But
when I just loaded into the Star Wars game, it opens up and you're standing on this cliff looking out over that city from whatever Galaxy's Edge, whatever that city's called. You're standing up on this cliff face looking at it, and I was like, holy shit. I'm just like you look around and there's like a little porg sitting on the ground there going, and I was like, fucking kick him. Like,
yeah, fucking sequel series. Fuck off.
Anyway, yeah. That's my update. Doesn't work yet. Hopefully they'll patch it. Firmware update, whatever they got to do. Just fucking
do something. Otherwise, it's when do you call it and go?
They must know.
Take it back.
Yeah. And then you go on Reddit, and then I saw another poster. I keep looking to see if anyone's actually figured it out. And then someone on Reddit was like, "This is it. This is the actual, 100% solution." And I went in there, and it was like 10 steps that you had to do. And I was like, oh, it sounds like a pain in the ass. So I scrolled down. First comment was, yeah, don't say this is the absolute 100% solution, even if it worked for you, because they never are, because this didn't work for me. So it's just another one on the pile.
Yeah.
Like, coincidentally worked for somebody.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking at articles, and there's no definite fix at the moment, and Sony hasn't made an official comment yet.
They're going to have to at some point, or they're going to refund me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long time for them not to say anything, though.
I mean, I could play, if I bought Gran Turismo 7, apparently I could play that in VR, because you just sit and use the controller, and then you look around and you're in the car, which sounds amazing. I just don't want to spend $70 on a game.
Well, the thing about that is what you should really do if you're going to do that is spend $70 on the game and then spend another few $100 on a steering wheel. Because if you're doing it in VR, you don't use a controller.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good point. I'm waiting for...
but you'd still do this, right? You'd just be doing it in the air.
Oh, maybe.
No.
I was thinking I would just use a normal controller.
Oh, literally just use the normal controller, I see.
Yeah, like the PlayStation controller.
But if you get a steering wheel when you're doing this, you're not just doing it in the air, you get like the force feedback and it really
I know that Star Wars Squadrons worked with the V1 of it. I want them to release an update for this, because that would be fucking sick.
That would be amazing. That was a good game.
I let that pass me by, but if I could play a VR version, I'd be definitely interested.
No Man's Sky works with it too, but I'd have to rebuy that on PlayStation to do it, and I'm very tempted, except I have to keep reminding myself I've bought that on at least 2 platforms already. So
wait for a sale.
Yeah.
A rookie question: do you have to buy specific VR versions of these games, or if you have the non-VR version, do you also have the VR version?
I think some of them are VR-only games. For example, the Star Wars one doesn't exist in another form, but I think No Man's Sky, you get the update. I'm Pretty confident about that.
But
and Resident Evil 2. I think Resident Evil Village, if you had it, you get the VR update, I think.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it's 100% because I know that like with the stuff I've seen that go to Steam and stuff, there's the like Skyrim VR version, which is different to the Skyrim version.
Really? I've seen... Yeah, that's a bit annoying. Oh, do you know one thing? One thing I noticed, because I can load into Resident Evil Village in the title screen, and it kind of plonks you down somewhere. And I was looking around the other day because I was trying it again, and I was like, hang on a minute. This is the... You played the game, Dan. You know the bit where you go to... there's the field of wheat with the scarecrow in the middle, and there's the house with the survivors in it that you eventually go inside of. It's in that field that you're standing, but the scale is different. Like, I feel like I'm much taller than I was. Really? Like, everything seems smaller, and I was like...
You are quite tall, Matt.
No, but that made me wonder, is like, the scale of this game is different now? Like, I'm curious to play it. Like, am I a giant person?
Yeah, or maybe you're playing as Lady Dimitrescu.
That'd be
and
right.
You're towering over everyone.
Yeah.
I do have it. I'm thinking about playing it now. I finished Hogwarts.
Oh, you finished Hogwarts?
Oh, you finished Hogwarts?
Yep. Finished it now.
Verdict?
It's a good game. It's not a kids game, which is good. Like, it's yeah. I did some terrible things in it. I think I ended evil.
To trans people? Things. Or just in general?
No, there was just this one mission where it's, you know how the paintings are alive?
Sure.
So this painting goes, hey, my other painting's been stolen. Can you go and rescue it? I go, okay. Mm-hmm. And then he says something, and then I have the option to burn it. And I burnt the painting, and it's all like, I felt terrible.
It's not a very Luke thing to do. And I'm like, what compulsion came over you that you were like, you're like looking at the painting, looking at the matches in fire. Your hand. Yeah, exactly.
Actually, what I thought it was I thought it was just going to be like a threat or me joking around. Like, I'm not really going to do it because he was back-mouthing a bit. And she said, no, set him on fire. And I go, okay, well, that mission.
So and then you didn't find his friend and you burnt him.
No, I found his friend and burnt his friend.
Oh, you burnt the friend.
Well, no, it's actually just him again, just in a different frame, and I just set that on fire because he was back-mouthing.
What does happen if you burn a painting in the Harry Potter
that's alive?
world?
Yeah,
that painting's gone.
Does that mean
so he could go back to his other frame?
Are they alive?
But then if you, it's not really clear.
Yeah.
So there's only if it's a painting of me, I'm essentially alive in that painting.
Yes.
And
you can go to other frames.
Right. Oh, that's pretty cool.
But I'm not quite sure if it's not really clear, I don't think, if you're alive
did you burn a frame or did you burn the person in the frame?
Don't know, because that just came up mission complete.
I'm sure there's some Harry Potter nerds that know the answer to this.
Yeah. There probably is an explanation. I don't know it. I don't. It's been a long time since I read those books.
I'm waiting for the tipping point of this J.K. Rowling thing. Also, apparently, I think I've been saying J.K. Rowling. Evidently, it's Rowling, okay. Like row your boat.
Okay.
The Australian, which is quite a conservative newspaper, but it had a big headline this week saying that J.K. Rowling is the Joan of Arc of our generation, i.e., one woman on a crusade that will be
will be burnt to death.
Yeah, that's right, by Luke. No, but just they're completely siding with her, just saying that history will remember J.K. Rowling as the victor of this conflict, not as the perpetrator.
I feel that there are more people talking about her than her actually talking. Like, I don't see her saying much.
I mean, my opinion currently is just that she's talking past everybody, and everyone's talking past her, and that no one's going to get anywhere this way because we're not really engaging with what anybody's saying. She's not saying what they're saying she's saying, and they're not saying what she's saying they're saying. It's just all, yeah.
But the fact that people don't, well, the fact that some people are talking about not playing Hogwarts Legacy because they don't like J.K. Rowling, but everyone's playing it, I think is just, it's the old put your money where your mouth is, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, people have voted with their wallet and they've voted that they're perfectly happy to still like Harry Potter.
Or they're just ignorant of all this drama. Is like most
But that
likely.
just goes to show too, doesn't it? How many people are actually involved in this drama? How many people are actually believe J.K. Rowling is a transphobe.
I mean, maybe
probably not that many people.
I guess maybe more younger people are on Twitter, but I guess you'd have to be online, like in those circles to know about this, right? Or is it mainstream enough now?
I mean, I know about it, and I'm not on Twitter, and I don't read Harry Potter. But then again,
but I don't look into stuff like this every week to talk about. Like,
true, but I didn't look into this actually until you brought it up last week, Matt, or a couple of weeks ago.
My fault.
No. And I read into it, and I don't think she said anything wrong, but maybe it's because I'm an old man.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I think I don't quite understand what any of them are saying. Her included.
I almost want to read these books now that everyone's freaking out.
It's got nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do
Absolutely
with it.
Nothing to do with it. Nobody even suspected this was a thing.
Everything that they're upset with her about is not in the books.
The things they've been upset about her in the past for were saying that Dumbledore was gay. People got mad about that because it's not in the book either.
Right.
But she just said, no, he was gay. And everyone's like, well, why didn't you make him gay in the book? And he was gay in the book. Just never came up.
You just didn't know. Just didn't say. Just didn't talk about it.
He didn't have sex with anybody in the book.
Yeah.
Like,
did we fair? Fair?
Because he was the headmaster and the book was about the kids.
Did you say that he was straight? No.
No, didn't say anything. Didn't come up. That and thing about Hermione maybe being any race. She didn't say what race she was. And
racially
so when they made her
ambiguous.
black in the play, she was like, well, I didn't say she wasn't black. And everyone was like, oh.
Huh. Yeah.
People got mad about that.
But yeah.
But then people got mad that it was like, well, you can't come out now and say, well, actually, there was a gay character in Harry Potter, and it was Dumbledore. If he wasn't gay in the, if he wasn't
trying to get a freebie.
Yeah, exactly. If he wasn't gay in the book, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
But yeah, she pissed off one side, and then she said something else, and she pissed off the other side.
Anyway,
and then she just sits back and counts the money.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Sales have shown that no one actually cares.
Mm-hmm. Look, speaking of problematic authors,
you
played a game this week, Dan.
Oh, yeah, I did. And I have you to thank for this because this not only was not on my radar, but even when I popped it into my Steam wish list, I still might not have prioritized it until you started playing it and told me how good it was. And then I just became obsessed with it and played it.
Even better than I thought it was going to be based on the video. It's great.
Yeah. So we're talking about Dreams in the Witch House, unless somehow you're talking about something else.
Oh, no, I was talking about the Curious Case of Charles Dexter Ward. What have you been playing?
Oh, I see. I love that one too. There's very little that actually happens in this game. You basically wake up in the morning, go to school, and come home at night. A good percentage of this game is literally just reading books in the game. And later on, literally
terrible.
Just going through old newspapers. It's so good. I love this so much.
Boarding up rat holes so that you don't get eaten during the night.
Again and again. Yeah. It's excellent. It's actually it's only very subtly Lovecraftian, and yet there's a lot of stuff from Lovecraft in there. But, you're not finding Cthulhu or Shoggoths or anything like that.
It's not a traditional adventure game either, which we said it was at first because it seemed like it was. It's not really. It's more like
it controls like one.
Yeah,
but it's not structured.
It is more like, say, Stardew Valley or Graveyard Keeper or one of those games than I even realized. You're constantly working on your stats to like.
Yeah.
And it's a little time based in a sense too. Like,
well, actually,
it's a finite time scale, right?
It becomes very time based by the end.
Right.
Because the game ends at a certain event,
right?
No matter what. Mm-hmm. And this game is too new to even have somebody have typed up a walkthrough, but there are playthroughs online, and by just having a cursory look at those, I know there are multiple endings, and I know I didn't get the good one.
But so you wake up in the morning.
Horribly wrong from me.
You wake up in the morning. You've got a certain amount of time to spend on things during the day. And then once you've used up those blocks, you've got to go to bed. Or, I mean, I guess you could stay up all night, but that's not going to go well for you in the long term.
No,
because you get sick.
Because you'll get sick.
Yeah, you literally get sick, and then you have to go, and then you have to spend money on medicine.
Yeah, or you just won't be able to study the next day if you're too tired. You'll try to read a book, and it'll just go, I didn't get any of that.
I'm too tired.
And so you will get no stat upgrade from reading that book.
Yeah, and Luke's bored out of his mind at the idea of this, but it is
but
very
that's the thing.
good.
It is way better than it has any right to be. Because at one point too, I'm just trawling through old records down in a basement, and like the game doesn't hold your hand. You've got to read them. And if you got to, if you
when you look up the book that you want to read, you've got to look it up in the index in the library and then go and find it on the shelves.
Yeah. A lot of the game is spent in the library looking for books.
See, I can't read, so this game is not for me.
No, there's a lot of reading. And remembering too. In fact, at a certain point, I had to start taking notes because the game doesn't hold your hand too. If you read a book, it'll ask you about stuff, and the character doesn't remember. The player, has to remember.
I thought. I mean, this is my fault for assuming, I suppose. It said you've got to study for the exams. So you go, you read the assigned work, and he sits there and he reads it, and then it does pop up with little facts, and I was like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
No, you need to know those.
Those facts
need
are
to
the
know
answers
those.
to the questions in the exam.
Because when you go to do the exam, it's going to ask you questions, and you need to answer them. Yeah, I fucking failed miserably because I was like, oh, that's
you
very
have to
cute.
know when to move on from one book, to when to go. I'm not going to get anything more from this book, but I need to go and find more out. So I need to find out what book I need to read next. Then find that book. Then read that book.
Yeah. And then write down what it
and
said
then
the
take
book said.
notes on that book. Yeah,
because you have to do
college,
your university
the game.
exam, and it's literally just going to come up and say, "When did fucking Magellan discover this?" And
this
you
does
have
not
to know.
Sound like a game.
No, it's fun. It is good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. It's like if you went to college in
real life,
Massachusetts in the 20s. Yeah. That was this guy, and something weird was happening in the town.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I didn't go to college. I'm not going to play a game about doing it.
Hold on. You just played Hogwarts Legacy.
That's high school.
Oh, it's
I
high
went
school.
to high school.
There you go.
Did you burn any paintings in this, Dan?
I've burnt some things.
I've been playing it. I haven't finished. I haven't gone quite as far as you. Yeah, no, I will.
I'm even tempted to play it through again, but then I thought I ignore so many games that I've bought. Like
I was tempted to restart
things
when I realized how the exams worked. I was tempted to restart.
So Matt, I did restart.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Because
I realized, I've done this wrong
dismally, and I got a letter from my aunt going, "Why am I paying you to go to this university?"
Yeah, right.
I was like, "No,
I felt so ashamed.
Now.
I'm going to go back and try again.
And
I got sick. I was really sick as well.
Yeah, I didn't realize how that mechanic worked. I didn't realize how the money worked. I didn't realize that. So you're
just spending.
Well, you have to buy stuff, and I forgot. It does mention it, I think, but I forgot that your aunt sends you an allowance, and so I spent more time doing odd jobs than I should have, whereas I should have been doing other. So
waiting for the money.
Now I know how the game works. You
can focus a little more when you know. When you've kind of got that part of it, because it's also a survival game. You will get sick and die unless you eat regularly.
Yeah, you have to eat. Yeah,
you keep warm.
If you go out in the rain, you'll get sniffles.
Although here's some tips from me in the second playthrough: go and buy the raincoat on the first day. You can spend longer in the rain. You can do chores in the rain with your raincoat on and not get the cold defects. Yeah, so you can earn more money that way.
There you go, Luke. Check it out.
I have my thesis published. And people going, I didn't really understand it, but it seemed quite interesting.
It's fun.
I'm going to go and play the Outer Worlds again.
Yeah.
Well, I'm playing it now. And in fact, I'm now that it's had a next-gen update, I'm playing on what's probably the most rudimentary version you could possibly call.
Well, I mean, I played through it on the Xbox when it came out.
Yep.
On the standard version.
They're releasing the Xbox Series X one, which I'm going to have to buy. It's not a free upgrade.
Oh, is it not?
Is it because it's a new publisher, or they just want money?
It's the same, but I'm interested to see if it comes to Game Pass or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But this is, I mean, it looks significantly better in the. It looked like a previous gen game. Yeah, because it was. Yeah. Like the frame rate was lower. The lighting and stuff wasn't as good. This new version looks really, really impressive, actually.
If you want the frame rate to seem extra impressive, just play it on the Switch first.
I did hear it has some performance.
It's
quite a complex
very
game.
laggy.
Yeah,
I'm surprised it even runs on the Switch, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm surprised they even released it on the Switch. It's not a Switch.
I want to play more cloud games on the Switch. The cloud games, when I played Resident Evil 8 on the Switch, it was flawless. Perfect graphics, perfect controls, because you're playing it off a server, running off a computer that's way better than what you're playing. Yeah, exactly. The old Resident, not number 1, which I've already purchased, but 2 onwards, which I haven't purchased yet, are cloud. So I'm looking forward to playing those when they're not full price.
Yeah. I didn't think they would be able to run on the Switch.
I never
a big enhancement.
I purchased the DLC for the Outer Worlds and didn't play it, which I'm glad I didn't, because now I can just replay it this way, and I'll just
play it all.
Suck it up, and
because
it was a very good game.
It was, and I'm looking forward to the sequel because this one did so well.
Worlds.
The sequel is going to be bigger because while you were able to go to different planets and places, they still were quite small when you went there.
Yeah, some areas were larger. There were like 2 planets that had like larger outdoor areas, but not that large.
They weren't
not
that big.
It's not Fallout kind of.
Yeah, it was still sort of like, even though it's a large area, it was still only like a few places you really went to. It wasn't like a go and explore and find.
No. In fact, the less exploring you could do was preferable. You would just try to focus on the missions. And I think part of that too, and this is one of my criticisms, is that the terrains are very samey no matter where you go.
Sure, yeah.
And so it makes it feel like you don't want to explore. If everything was completely different, I'd be like, what's this world? And even you mentioned Fallout. Like when you got to a new town in Fallout, you'd be like, I want to talk to every new person in this town. Because their points of view were totally different.
And they mostly did look the same. It's about like...
so it's not the look of it, it's just the feel of it. Yeah.
No, great game. Yep. And I'm definitely going to get this because I look forward to playing it again. And even... evidently, we'll be able to get the new version for a discounted price if you own the first one.
Oh,
okay. Well, I don't own the first game. I own the DLC.
I don't know. I own the DLC as well, so I don't know how it's going to work.
Day one, it was on Game Pass.
We find out in 3 days.
Okay, cool.
Oh, so soon.
Well, I'm liking this way that games are sort of just being announced. And
this is what you've always wanted. Yeah, don't tell me about it a year in advance.
Out of nowhere.
Yep. It's like, what was announced like yesterday or the day before, and then less than a week later, it's here you go. Now you can play it, and that's why I'm looking for. I think the same thing's going to happen with Starfield. I have a feeling.
Oh, they're just going to release it.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do because they haven't done their showcase about it yet. I think they'll do the showcase after Redfall comes out, and then I think it'll be. I reckon it'll be around June, and I think it'll be they'll do the showcase and go. By the way, play it. Because everyone already wants it. They don't need to do another 6 months of marketing. They just need to. Here it is. Play it.
It'll sell.
Or it won't, because I'm just going to play it on Game Pass.
Oh yeah, good point. And you can't buy it on PlayStation.
Nope. Oh, have you seen that? PlayStation have to hand over their last 4 years of exclusive third-party deals as part of the FTC. So, with Xbox wanting to buy Activision, Sony going, this is terrible for games and things. Well, Microsoft came back, but you're doing all these third-party exclusives that are hurting us as well. And they went, we want to see those contracts. And Judge agreed with Microsoft and went, no, don't go back 10 years, go back 4 years. So we'll be able to see what sort of exclusive deals they've been doing.
Oh.
And might be able to find out if I ever get to play Final Fantasy VII Remake. I really want to play that game.
I don't care about that game. I only play old games now.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Not new old games.
Well, Dreams in the Witch House kind of counts as a new old game because it looks old. I meant literal old games like... I've decided I'm going to try and collect some Atari games.
Defender of the Crown.
Defender of the Crown, yeah.
Well, Atari just released a very, very beautiful set of cartridges.
What'd you tell me that for?
They're beautiful. Go and Google it.
Pitfall.
It's like $1,000.
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
Pitfall.
Okay.
Pitfall's a great game.
Yep.
No, I don't want things that are going to cost that much.
No, I think it's Pitfall, Galaga. What's that one? Space Invaders.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see what I've got.
Atari's new collectible games off to a rocky start. $50 to $100.
Oh.
Actually, and it's saying some of these they're saying are unreleased sequels, and it's actually just some homebrew ROM hack that someone made.
What? Oh, okay. Well, that's...
Maybe that might have been a misunderstanding. Actually, you know what? I saw a video the other day. So my Commodore 64 arrived. I don't have the power supply yet, so I can't turn it on, but it's here, and it's beautiful. It's been lovingly restored. I'm very happy with it. I was watching a video the other day where a guy, just in silence, cleaned up and restored his Commodore 64 bread
so
bin.
So relaxing.
Yeah, it was a cool video. And anyway, at the end of it, he turned it on, it all worked, and he grabbed out. It was a new 25th anniversary edition of Mayhem in Monsterland, which was one of the very last Commodore 64 games ever made. And he got the disc out, and there's like the European version, which is like the normal version because it's PAL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's the North American version, and when he put it in, it was like a cracked version of the game with like with the trainer screen and everything with the music in the background, everything like that. And then he was like, "That's weird. Like this is the official version of the game that they're shipping out. All right, no worries. Some cracked version from back in the 80s or 90s. That game might have been 90s.
It was a different time back then.
Yeah. Well, I never questioned as a kid that those screens weren't supposed to be there. That the versions of these games that I don't even know where the fuck we got them in Penrith. Well, where did I get these games from? I don't recall.
Well, back in that time, there was no sort of copyright protection on games or anything. Everyone just had piles of discs that had just been copied and away you went.
Yeah, but what people would do is
part of it.
They would go, okay, I'm going to buy this game and then I'm going to distribute it, but I'm going to modify it so that my name's all over the start of it.
Yeah, that's
right. The music that I wrote.
When you're going to boot it up, it's going to be cracked by Matt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, with garish flashing colours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I remember the first couple of years that I had my Amiga, I would ask for a game every Christmas and every birthday. And then I realised that's a loser's game. Ask for a box of blank discs. That's what you ask for.
Yeah.
And then you just try to find as many friends as you can that have Amigas. And then you'd be like, oh, I've got a computer. Yeah, I got an Amiga. I'm like, do you? And what are you doing later today?
I got the benefit of, I was talking to my mum about this the other day, actually, because I bought the new one and I told her, because I said, I don't know what happened to her old one. She said, I don't either. I think we threw it out at some point. And
I was going to ask if you checked with your mum first.
No, I did.
Just make sure. Yeah, I rang every member of my family to make sure no one still had my Amiga.
And because I asked her, like, why did you... I said, if you remember, was there actually a discussion between you and Dad about whether... Because I presume I would have asked for a Nintendo or something, or an Atari, but I got the Commodore. Was that intentional?
Same.
Like, why? Yeah. Why did you say that?
She said the foresight to get a computer instead of a console.
Yeah. Was it actually intentional, or was this, when your nan buys the wrong thing?
That's just
kind of thing. That's the one you wanted, isn't it?
Yeah. No, that's really interesting because we had the same. I definitely wanted an Atari, and I got a computer, and I think it was because that was the only way my parents were ever going to consider getting me a games machine, was that if they could also learn about computers.
My life would be, I can't even imagine how different if I hadn't had that computer and hadn't learned to program. Like, I don't know, it would be completely different in fundamental ways. So it's just interesting.
Oh man, I reckon there's a doctoral thesis in that of people's first computers and then their ultimate
trajectory.
Career. Yeah. Because I got the Amiga, and the tagline of the Amiga was the only computer that gives you a creative edge.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because Amiga was supposed to be because it was 16-bit.
You've got one. You've got one. You've got a creative edge.
I've got a creative edge. Look at the edge. Look at it.
I think mine must have been the only computer that gives you a receding hairline.
No, Luke's computer would have given him a receding hairline. Luke had a computer with that too, I'm sure.
Look, I reckon I can pick out why you got the Amiga over the Atari.
Go on.
The Atari was dying at that stage.
Well, I could have gotten the NES.
Yeah, but if you were asking for an Atari...
Depends on how late too, because my Commodore was a 64C, so that was quite late. My point earlier too was just that because I had that Commodore, and I had the Commodore 64 for much longer than most kids had those, because everyone was buying IBM PCs and stuff like that. But we just still had the Commodore 64 because we just couldn't afford or didn't.
Well, you didn't. Parents didn't want to get a computer. Yeah.
So I just kept using it for long enough that I inherited tons and tons of games and stuff off other friends. And in fact, I inherited also, I remembered the other day an Amstrad CPC 464 off a friend of mine as well. So I had one of those at one point too. Wow. And those are very expensive. Yeah. So I wish I still had it.
But see, you're talking with hindsight here. And what younger listeners might not realize is that it was not inevitable that what we now call PCs, i.e. Windows, which then were called IBMs, was going to be dominant. Not at all. Like if you went into a computer shop, you had your Commodore section, your Atari section, your Amstrad section, and they were all just as valid as the other. You had to get programs that run on your computer. And it wasn't just the Mac or PC thing.
And if you wanted a computer and you wanted to play games, like if you wanted those two things together, the Commodore stuff was far superior. The Amiga and the Commodore 64 were far superior to the IBM PCs.
Oh, mate, for a long time. There was only DOS, like you had to be pretty hardcore to want to get. If you
just wanted games, yes, you would get a console, and the NES and the Ataris were better for that, obviously. But if you wanted a computer as well, Commodore all the way.
Yeah, until they went bankrupt.
Yeah.
It's always funny when companies are doing well and then they just go bankrupt.
Oh yeah, but Commodore was a tragedy. Making. It was really poor decision making.
Yeah.
Speaking of poor decisions, you may have chucked us $10 a month over at Patreon. No, I'm saying it would be a poor decision not to, Matt.
What's Patreon?
Patreon is where you can patronize. Is
that what I'm doing now by pretending I don't know what Patreon is?
Yeah. More condescending, Matt.
Oh, right. Explain to our idiot listeners what that is, Dan.
The morons out there in podcast land.
If you can if you can figure out how to do that, and go to patreon.com/multiple-nerdgasm.
If you've got whatever the modern day equivalent of a Commodore 64 is,
put down that one thing you don't need to give us the money instead.
Yeah, that's right. Just popped into my head. One thing you don't need to buy, Matt, is a mouse. There was no mouse for the Commodore 64, right?
Later on, when they came up with alternative operating systems, there was a mouse, but I don't think there was ever an official mouse for the Commodore 64. No.
Yeah.
The Amiga there was.
Yes, there was. The tank. Listeners, computers in our lifetime. With no mouse. Mouse was not a given at that point.
No. But even when you got a mouse, remember you'd have to clean the mouse because it used the trackball
constantly. Yeah.
And
you always get a Q-tip and some rubbing alcohol and get the wheels clean. Otherwise, you couldn't play Space Quest effectively.
God, people are spoiled.
Well, man, you needed to also learn how to type like a fucking maniac to be able to play that effectively.
Yeah. But actually, I was just thinking, I think I now know why Commodore 64 sort of failed when sort of IBM Windows came about. Because you needed to learn to use the computer, where Windows simplified it.
I think
Windows for sure.
Yeah.
Commodore got lucky with a lot of the stuff early on. I think they lucked out more than they were smart. I forget what was the guy who was in charge of Commodore.
Oh, the guy they fired just before it went bankrupt. Yeah, him.
Yeah, I think he was more of a sure, we'll do whatever you guys say. And just kind of lucked into this whole thing. Like he had, I think he had terrible ideas, and then he realized that at some point and was like, "I'll let other people decide."
Yeah, but you know what Amiga was, right? So Amiga wasn't developed by Commodore. Commodore had when they had the C64, and it was the highest selling personal computer in the world. They sacked a couple of dudes.
It still is the best selling one of all time.
Yeah, I think it probably still is. Because now you don't need a specific brand of computer.
Yeah. So they'll probably never be beaten on that basis.
But a couple of guys left, started developing their own computer. That was the Amiga. Commodore then rehired them and bought out their prototype and then released it. So
there you go.
Anyway, patreon.com/multiple-nerdgasm.
$10
Give us money.
Gets you an extra 15, 20 minutes. And we won't talk about F1 or Commodore 64s maybe. Or Commodore Amigas or Commodore or retro computers. We might.
You'll find out.
We've got Geeks of the Week we'll talk about. If you don't know what that is, it means celebrities died and Luke picks which one was the best. And then I've got some Mark Wahlberg racism news.
Oh, I love racism news.
So,
speaking of racist, there's also some Gina Carano follow-up, so we might mention that as well.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
That's all for this week. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed the show. If you enjoyed it, then please subscribe in iTunes to receive episodes automatically. We'll see you next time.